Today on Podcast and Down, we're talking about ISENMOR's debut album, Shieldbrother.
Cast them down.
Yeah, see, I made a special ISENMOR intro to Podcast and Down. You see what I did there?
That's pretty good.
So I'm here with more than half of ISENMOR, which is a feat these days. So if you're watching on the Twitch or whatever, from the left, Twatch. If you're a Twatcher, from the left, we got Mark, the violinist, first chair, I believe, is what the liner notes say, and then we have Mike, bassist and vocalist, me, rhythm guitarist and vocalist, I assume, and finally Nick, violinist, third chair, and vocalist, and the source of all the
lyricist.
The lyricist.
Lyricist. The lyricist.
That's perfect.
I think that was a Dr. Seuss book, actually, the lyricist, if I'm not mistaken.
All right, so we're about a year past the release of the album, and I was thinking we could go through everything that went into making that album as much as time allows. So this might be a multi-part thing, because the album took like how long?
I don't want to talk about it.
Right.
I think there's a distinction that needs to be made between how long it took and how long it needed to take.
Right.
Because I think they're different. But yeah, like the material was like 90% written by like 2016 or 2017. It was like 95% recorded by 2017, and then the last 5% took 3 years, 2 years, 3 years. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right. So, do you happen to remember what the first song that was written for the album was? I know Saxon Shore was done early, but we'll come back to that because the Saxon Shore, this was a long time ago, but Saxon Shore was a whole thing. So
I mean, so Battle Scarred was early. I want to say Wanderlust was pretty early. Those are the two that, but like Battle Scarred itself was kind of like a weird process, or it was a song that had a kind of like a weird history to it.
I think like Battle Scarred was the first one we thought was done, but then we still didn't like it.
Yeah,
and then we came back and redid that one.
We redid it and then came back to a lot of what we already did, except for Tim's interlude, which made it not suck.
I just remember like finding the Guitar Pro for it and listening to it and being like, guys, why aren't we playing this awesome song? And you were all like, oh, we hate that song. And I was like,
yep.
I was like, but what?
That sounds like us.
Yeah.
It's probably Pure Teutonicus.
Oh,
I remember that's probably the one that we were playing live for like a good 4 years before the album came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty sure we have video of us playing it at Sidebar, so that was a while ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so much of the material was already written. Like, it's actually kind of frustrating because we did the EP and we were pretty happy with that, and then we basically wrote the album, and for the most part, the album was done. And like I would say, like a year to a year and a half ish after the EP, somewhere in there, there were the two outliers. Despite the fact that Sigurd's song was an eternity long, it was not one that took the longest to write. It was Battle Scarred and Shieldbrother that took the longest to write. But we can get into that another time. But for the most part, everything was pretty much just solid. But then life happened.
Yeah, well, we happened, and then life happened on top of that. Because if I remember correctly, we had most of the album done, and then Daniel, the lead guitarist at the time, goes, hey, let's re-record the EP.
Yes.
So I forget which happened first. Saxon Shore's single.
Saxon Shore.
Yeah, so then we re-recorded Land of the Setting Sun, the EP, and the version you can get everywhere is not the original version, it's the good version.
The original version was not good.
It sounds more like what we were going for.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, we had some decent feedback with that original first version, but it sounds like it was recorded in somebody's basement, largely because it was.
Yeah, but so was the re-recording. It was someone else's basement. Yeah,
it was a loft.
Oh yeah,
much difference.
Yeah, so
that was recorded in someone's spare bedroom.
Yeah, so,
right. Yeah, you're right.
So that giant leap was entirely Daniel's fault. Fault is the wrong word, but you know.
Basically, without Daniel, Land of the Setting Sun sounds kind of garbagey, and Saxon Shore doesn't really exist in the state that it does today. So yeah, that was slightly important to us. It was like, oh yeah, this actually, like, we can listen to those and be like, okay, I actually like this, as opposed to listening to the original EP. It's like,
we'll give Daniel a plug for Eyes of the Nile, the Maiden tribute band he's in,
and versus video games,
So yeah, oh yep, needs a ding. Man, this thing is. Buy the album so I can get a new soundboard. Buy it as many times as you want. There is no limit.
When I was going, like, organizing the merch box after a show a couple of years ago, I did find a CD of the original EP and the original demo.
Oh God!
Oh, the demo. Ugh.
Yeah, so I've heard those now.
What was on the demo? That was
So
like
Willingly
covered.
Deceived and Death is Fine Companion, right? Probably not.
Yeah.
Probably in the
So.
reverse order.
I think there's one more on it. It might be Pyre too.
Yeah, Pyre was the first ISENMOR song that, I don't think it was the first to completion, but it was the first that was started. And I remember Tim getting really mad at me. Not really, but Tim getting mad at me because I did it with 7-string guitars, and he was like, fuck!
Yeah, well,
Now I have to use a 7-string.
while we were covering, we're going back farther than I wanted to, but we were covering a bunch of songs that needed 7 strings, and but then I switched to a 6-string when we were going to do our songs. That was the plan, at least, but then Pyre came out 7-string, and like shit. And I remember Wanderlust is entirely on the 6-string. I think it's Wanderlust, except for the part you wrote the day I wasn't there. And I was like, no. And at one point, I had a guitar in baritone tuning and a guitar in standard tuning, and I was just going to switch between those. I can play 6 strings cleaner because I don't practice enough. But then what song? It must have been Battle Scarred. When that got done, you need the 7-string to play that one competently. so I'm just all in on 7 strings, and if my playing is sloppy, it's Mike's fault.
I mean, we're basically an extra string band at this point.
I think Nick's down to 4 strings at the moment.
True. We're gonna have to fix that.
So we had Saxon Shore written, and I think we were like, let's record it and then roll right into the album, right? Isn't that what happened?
Well, yeah, it is. Let's record this to try out, because we had Daniel at that point, and we knew we could do a lot better than the original EP. So we're like, let's record this, and we can release it instantly as a single for the album that should be done within a year.
Yes, that's what it was. Yep.
I'm pretty sure it was Daniel's idea to make that single as well, because I think he wanted to like prove out the sound.
Yeah, and I think we took the most ISENMOR song at the time, and it's still very ISENMOR. Everything about that song is ISENMOR.
That's true.
I think there is one song that's more ISENMOR than Saxon Shore now, though. But we'll get there. So, So we recorded that, and then I think we loved it so much. I forget whose idea it was, but it's like, hey,
I think it was also Daniel's.
let's redo the EP. So I remember tracking at Daniel's loft, and I did all my parts in a day, which is uncharacteristic of me. So, and you were there, and you weren't there. I wasn't there for violin tracking, I don't think, because that involves microphones and me being quiet.
Yeah. And lots of swearing.
Yeah. So how did I know we should be talking about the album, but how did you go about recording the EP's violins?
So we could get away with like the tracks for 2 songs in a session. So I'd drive over and it'd be like maybe up to 4 hours or something.
That drive involved going from Maryland to Virginia, which doesn't sound bad. But if you're from the area, you know how miserable that is.
And then we try to like lay down. I think I went there probably 4 or 5 times total. Because then we had to
6
like
weeks of your life in traffic.
punch a bunch of stuff afterwards, or like parts that were missed. Because like we recorded the violins separately, and then you play the violins with each other, and all of those different micro tuning stuff really like shakes out and can be really good or really bad.
So, and you just used the condenser in the room, right? Just stuck a mic on it.
Yeah, we tried, like, so the first time we tried a bunch of different mics and like listened to them play back.
Yeah, I remember I had been looking up violin mics for a while, and I set it on. I kind of settled on this Octava mic, which is this Russian-made mic that's supposed to. It's supposed to be like a very close analog to some Neumann mic that's super expensive. So I remember making reference to this to Daniel, and he just had an Octava condenser. He's like, "All right, let's try this out." It's like, oh, okay.
I think we used that, and then we also close mic'd with like a 7B.
Yeah, I believe that's what he did for Saxon Shore as well.
Sounds about right.
Not that that's all that exciting.
All right, so
It
now
would have been exciting to me 3 years ago when I was trying to figure out which violin mics to buy.
So now, yeah, what? Well, why didn't you tell him that? What are you doing, Mike?
Well, sorry.
So, I think this is around the time I was dealing with home stuff, life happening. So, at what point did we go from EPs back out? Hey, rebuy the same EP, only, now with more sound. The singles out. We had to finish writing, and then we started recording. So does anyone who's not me remember what that was? Because I don't. I have a big blank spot. So enlighten me.
I can offer a bit of color, though I don't necessarily know that I can make the timeline more concrete. So my wife and I were trying to get pregnant at the time when we were doing infertility treatments, which involved going to and from New York. So sometime in the middle of this period, additionally, my wife and I were traveling to New York like every other month for 4 days to like have surgery. So it very much made it all very complex. So the whole time is basically a fucking blur. Somehow we were writing, recording, and doing like mad science in the middle of all this bullshit.
know. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
So all of the violin stems are in a folder called ISENMOR 2017.
Yeah, I believe, like, I know that, at some point after we actually got pregnant, I went on a mad dash to try to record everything that I could assist with. And I I think I got everybody's guitars and vocals and all that recorded in 2017 because I was trying to get it done before my kids were born. So it was like I expended a lot of energy getting that done. And I think Carter was in the band at the time as well. So I have Carter's guitars in there. So yeah, like he was an active member of the band. When
my guitars were done long before you recorded his, though. So I think what happened was we finished up writing. We said we have an album. So like you said, the final few songs to get finished were Battle Scarred, Shieldbrother, and then I believe the other one was Lost at Sea, or Mountbatten. Lost at Sea was the original title. And then,
the music didn't change for
right, but
Batten,
the lyrics,
the lyrics and the melody did, and I know that Nick and I think bounced vocal melodies off each other, and we kind of came up with. Nick had lyrics, and we kind of fitted into a verse melody idea I had, and then Nick had a really fantastic chorus melody, and we kind of weaved them together, and it worked out pretty well, I think, if I'm recalling that correctly. But yeah, that song was actually one of the last as well.
I remember the end of Sigurd's song taking a while too, because especially for lyrics, because the music was like done, right, and then Nick, you had to cram the story into the last. So I think it paced out perfectly, but I know you were worried about pace at one point. It's like, I have 5 minutes to tell these.
Yeah, like writing for that one was tricky because it's like, we had 3 kind of like distinct sections, and it's like, all right, we're finally got the idea of like, what am I gonna, because he wrote all the music, and then it's like what the hell am I going to put into this giant ass song? And eventually got the idea of like, well, the Sigurd song is like the Sigurd story is like a very epic, widely known thing from the time. So it's like, all right, let's do Sigurd, but then it's like, okay, now there's also 3 distinct parts. Like, how do I put a summary of the story, and with each lyrical part, like some part of the story matching the section. So it's like, it's weird because it's like the first part is a summary of the early part up until the dragon. The middle part is literally one conversation of the story, and then the ending part is like cramming the entire rest of the story up through him getting killed.
Spoilers.
Like,
No. It's spoiler warning. Sigurd dies. wait, who kills Sigurd? Remind me.
You have to. If you have 20 minutes, you can go listen to the song and figure it out yourself.
Yeah. I think Guthrum
kills Sigurd.
Yeah, well, really,
drive around to Barnes
Brunhild,
right.
Yeah, Brunhild ferments the men to be angry at Sigurd, so he goes in and stabs Sigurd when he's in bed with his new wife, and then Sigurd manages to do a sword throw and cut him in half before he gets out. So he,
if you were watching this in an action movie, you'd be like, "Come on."
See, I was trying to figure out how to do like a Snape kills Dumbledore reference for the spoiler warning bit, but I don't think I get clever enough.
Dude, what the?
For real, spoiler warning.
So, all right. So let's talk about tracking the album. I remember the rhythm guitars being uneventful. I don't have secret sauce for recording guitars. So we did track everything ourselves. Because, what's the point in spending money in a studio besides getting an amazing sound? So we, the way I record guitars is to record it direct and then figure out the amp later. That's how I like to do it. I'm not saying that's how anyone should do it. But then I had all these guitar tracks and I passed them on, and the next few years were also a blur. So
Yeah, so I know before my girls were born, so they were born in 2018. So I guess I must have gotten the recording done mostly in 2018. But recorded Carter's guitars, recorded I think all the vocals.
yes,
The
I do
drums.
remember coming to your house to do vocals. So,
Though I think you filled in some at home as well.
oh yeah, I must have. But I
Um,
definitely did some in person and did some at my house. And I bet I went to your house to do them, and then I bought this microphone and came home and did them.
I remember having John and Dave over to record keys and drums. The keys were interesting because, like,
No one wrote
We're not-
parts.
yeah, we're not very good at writing the key parts, so we kind of wrote them on the fly. And, like, I think there are some songs where it came out pretty well. Like Mountbatten's key parts, I think, are really quite good. They're simple, but I think they're solid. The drums were interesting. It was all Dave's got a Roland V drum kit, so we basically with a very unusual MIDI mapping.
We cheated. We cheated on drums.
We
Everyone
cheated on
know
drums.
that we cheated. The point of ISENMOR is violins, not drums. So we
Yeah,
decided it was okay to cheat on drums and guitars for that matter.
Yeah. Yeah, so we plugged him in the MIDI. I figured out the mapping for his, because he's got like toms, with like the V drum triggers, you can have like the rim can trigger a different sound. So he's got like toms on the rims and shit that aren't normal.
Actually, unfortunately, I'm intimately familiar with the with the MIDI mapping on his drums, and the rims are various symbols. The rims of the toms are symbols,
Right.
and I think he has extra toms somewhere, and yeah. But you have to like sit there and figure it out. It doesn't play nicely with the software out of the box.
No, yeah. So you have to come up with the MIDI. Yeah, so we use Superior Drummer. So we had to figure out the MIDI mapping so that Superior Drummer played the correct sound when he hit the part that he was the correct sound for what he was trying to make. Right.
Oh, wait, you recorded the drums at your house?
Yes.
But I know for a fact that Dave spent a lot of time at Mark's house.
Yeah, so
fixing
we
the drums.
we edited the drums.
We cheated. We cheated.
Punched things. Like wrote entirely new drum parts in this basement.
I know that I went through the first passes at one point, and I don't remember for how many of these I did it. But Dave's drums have a tendency, and I don't know if this is just an E drums thing or if this is a Dave's drums thing, but they have a tendency to hit like double trigger or hit like you'd hit the snare and then like maybe the tom would pick up like a real light hit. So I had to go through and find like the real light hits and edit all of them out. And then, furthermore, to solidify our cheating, there was the Melodyne on the vocals.
I remember Melodyne didn't like me.
Oh yeah, it doesn't like gruff vocals. It likes real like clean vocals.
Yeah, apparently Auto-Tune, Antares Auto-Tune plays nicer with gruff vocals than
Really?
Melodyne. That's what I've heard. But we need to sell a few dozen copies of the album so I can a few more dozen, I should say. So we can do an A/B test.
But yeah, like
Sure you can get that at isenmore.bandcamp.com.
Thank you.
But,
And you can follow us on Spotify before you go and buy it on Bandcamp.
so we can get those fractions of a cent per play.
Do both.
Add us to your playlists.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, so Tim's vocal style is has a lot of
Atonal
grit.
qualities.
but like it's a legit style, right? Like you know,
now you're just being generous.
but yeah, Melodyne just did not like to lock that shit in. So I had to do some. I don't even remember what the fuck I did to make it work. But you know, it's basically, you know, when you have like 9 vocals singing simultaneously, you need a little help. So I remember I edited all the vocals at some point, and this was done in like a 3 or 4 month period between like my girls were born. The 4 months prior was just like madhouse. Get this fucking album recorded. I remember we did mandolin at one point.
How'd the mandolin go?
Not great, because we discovered after the fact that one of my cables was bad, and that was really annoying. Do you remember this?
I mean, the cable's bad. I mean, the mandolin that I have is bad. It was like fucking $75.
Yeah,
I think we knew going in that it was probably not good enough to make it on the album, but
it does, because we did 2 things in an odd moment of prescience. We recorded it acoustically with the SM7B, and then we did it direct. But I think there was something up with the jack. Like something was weird with the direct feed.
I can almost guarantee I only use one of those channels.
It was probably the acoustic one, but it wasn't a particularly sound treated room. And there was one other instrument. I can't. Maybe I'm just thinking of the mandolin.
Was it a butt
at various
floor?
point? It was a butt
Acoustic
floor.
guitar.
Oh yeah, I did some acoustic guitar.
Well, I was gonna bring that up. Mike one day goes, "I bought an acoustic guitar so I can do the acoustic guitar parts." He's the bassist.
That's right. Yeah, so I did those. Fuck. What else?
What songs are the acoustics on? I know it's Sigurd, the middle of Sigurd's.
Sigurd 2, Wanderlust.
Oh yeah, Wanderlust. Yes.
It might be that might be the only 2.
I know you didn't buy a guitar to do. 3
No,
minutes
it
of
wasn't.
song.
It was because I wanted I had all these like cheap acoustics, and I wanted a nice acoustic. So, not that I needed it, but
What brand did you get?
Taylor.
Not a sponsor. Are they? Is it behind
Could
you?
be.
If you moved?
Yes.
if they're not a sponsor, then you got to bleep it out.
Oh, there it
Free
is.
advertising.
There it
We're
is.
gonna be doing a lot of bleeping then.
So, and I remember, like, the mandolin is tuned like a violin, correct?
Yes.
So I'm
twice.
I think you and I did mandolin parts together because you were much better at fingering the more complicated parts.
Yeah.
But I could tremolo pick a little bit better. So we had to like trade off depending on which section it was.
Wait. You played
Right.
mandolin? We might need to issue a correction in the book.
No, it's in the book.
Okay.
Guys, I was about to ask, is like, did you keep any of my mandolin parts? Because I know, like, we did the tremolo.
Ooh.
Oh, I only did the tremolo and nothing else. Yeah, so it's mostly you. I think maybe what it is the tremolo parts in Kings.
Yeah.
Might be me. But other than that, it's all you. Those are the only parts of me. I intentionally tried to keep as little of me on mandolin as possible.
It's the least bass-like of all of the strummed instruments.
I don't know. It's got 4 groups of strings.
Yeah, groups of strings.
Right. So, it's
So yeah,
Mad
so
Dash.
this I guess that was 2017 into 2018, and then after that, my kids were born, and my involvement went to 0. I was after that, I was completely unable. Though we had a few extra recording sessions after that. I remember us doing group vocals at some point in maybe like 2019.
Oh yeah, we did gang vocals,
which I think were discarded if I don't recall correctly.
Was that? Well, I know we're leapfrogging. But was that that? Oh, I remember seeing a billion group vocal tracks.
Yes.
Yeah, I gave you 1 billion, and then you were like, "That's too many." So then I reduced them down into a bunch of different, like, panned stereo versions with like no effects, some effects, kind of thing.
I bet I used the no effects ones. So,
and there was one other thing,
like comp EQ and stuff, not like reverb or anything.
I might have had a few other people over after to try to punch in vocals here and there, because I remember there was some kerfuffle over some of the lines in Sigurd's. I took issue with the rhyming scheme. This is going to make me sound insane. There was like 2 words. There was 2 words in Sigurd's 3 that were bothering the shit out of me, and I couldn't. I remember.
Yeah, I remember. Like we did we did a recording session just for like plugging in like 2 or 3 things.
It was like, yeah, but I felt like I was like, I feel like I'm insane. Like I need to let this go, and I couldn't let it go. It's like it was just in my head. I was like, God damn it! Like I just want to let this go. So yeah. Sometime in 2019, everything was kind of complete. I think.
Well, so now you're totally out of the picture. Now we just have to, I don't know, record the thing that makes ISENMOR.
Yes.
Both violins. So I believe everything relocated to you, Mark.
Yeah.
So how'd that go?
I mean,
because I think at this point, both Mike and I are
you guys just kinda kicked the
incommunicado.
shit
We're
over.
gone.
We all had children. We had to go.
Well, so I had like, rough Superior Drummer things that you put together from the Guitar Pros, and then like all of the guitar demos, so we could record against that at least, but we didn't have vocals yet.
Oh, so that's right. This happened simultaneously.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I eventually found the mics that I wanted, after trying a bunch of different mics. And then I kind of dialed in like position and placement while recording my own tracks, because with the luxury of my own house and free time, I can do as many billions of takes as I need to. Versus like when Nick comes over, you want to be, slightly more efficient with someone else's time.
This is why I record my own guitars.
Exactly. I broke a delete key off of a keyboard.
Here, just take mine.
I don't know. I thought we were able to get it done fairly efficiently. The tricky part with all the different like a verse's worth of violin or like a chorus's worth is then getting everything leveled and EQ'd so that it sounds the same through the whole song. Because like just slight variations in where you're standing under the microphone, and then even how much energy you have while you're playing at the start versus the finish, like can drastically change the tone of the violin.
Yeah. So now, at least for me, like we definitely had a few that were we did a recording and it's just a message like, we're gonna have to redo this one. They couldn't make it work.
So you don't just have to play it right. You have to play it consistently. or
edit
right, because I mean what were worse things like bow noise. So I remember we had a which song it was, but yeah, we had
Sigurd's too.
Yeah, I think first 2 recording sessions we ended up throwing those out because it was once we went to work with it, it's there's just an insane amount of bow noise.
Well, it was the triple string crossing during the solo violin intro to Sigurd's 2. And when he's jumping strings, he's bringing his finger off one string to put it on the other string, and it's basically doing a guitar pull off. So he was getting this little atonal pop. And since that was like during the solo violin part, it was like, so we had to try recording it a bunch of different ways in a bunch of different finger positions and with different like bowing techniques to figure out which one was the cleanest.
Yeah, and for anybody listening, it's like bow noise is just the name of the game. It's just one of those things. It's a feature of the instrument, right?
Wow. Who wrote that part? Because I think I know who wrote it. I gave up on writing violin parts after the after the first EP.
After the mead hall kerfuffle. It was Nick and Miles both saying this is impossible.
It was easy to do on the guitar, And
I mean, not impossible. It's just one of those where it's like everything is in a weird place.
Not on a guitar.
It is on a violin.
Just tune it in fourths and you're good to go. So where did the cello come from? Because there's cello in Sigurd's song.
There is cello. So I convinced. So my brother's a very good cellist. And there was one Christmas where we were both back at my parents' house in actually 2016, I think. And I brought a Pelican with a old condenser mic, which was the only mic that I had at the time, an interface, and a laptop, and like the sheet music for Sigurd's too. And I like basically cornered him one day and was like, "Hey, record this,
do it."
And what is a Pelican?
Oh, like a Pelican hard case. I just
yeah.
Just to transport everything without getting smashed. Yeah.
He just came into his parents with a bird that had been just shoved the recording equipment into it. It's like, don't worry, it's in a Ziploc.
It's got a jazz drive in it.
It'll be I mean, some people prefer the dead kitty noise baffles, but I prefer Pelicans.
Right. Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. That was a dumb question. I don't know what I was thinking. Of course.
Yeah.
It was a small
but I really like Sigurd. So I'm really good at imagining what the song is going to sound like when I'm listening to the Guitar Pro and getting super immersed in it. And
I'm jealous.
Like,
yeah,
I'll jam out to Guitar Pro, like for real. And I just really wanted cello for that part of the song.
No,
I think layered with the violin octaving, it sounds awesome.
Well, it's hilarious because like I remember I didn't know that was there. I don't know if I was just oblivious because this happens to me frequently. I just like somebody will say something really important and I'll just be like, and then later it comes back. I was like, oh, that's awesome. So just one day it's like, oh, why don't you try this cello? I was like, what the hell is this? This is incredible. Why is this here? I love it. So yeah, that was a happy discovery for sure.
It's one of like the three things that we put on backing tracks for live shows too.
Yeah, and I think it sounds awesome live.
It does. Okay, so I believe. Oh, so then gang vocals. I think that was at the end because. No, that was probably. Yeah.
Yeah, gang vocals were one of the last things done.
We were listening to something, and I was like, "This needs gang vocals." I can't.
It was one of,
I can't participate. Go make gang vocals.
I think it was one of Daniel's initial mixes of.
Must have been Shieldbrother.
No, I don't think it was Shieldbrother. I think it was I'm blanking on the name of the song. The Drunk Viking, Drink to Glory.
Yes.
Okay, sorry. So Drink to Glory.
He's not a Viking.
I'm sorry. I'm the worst. But
no, Drink to Glory, he's a Viking because he sucks. It turns out at the end of the song, the guy sucks.
It does.
But spoilers.
But in Drink to Glory, it's like. The Drink to Glory part. We wanted to do gang vocals because I want to say in the initial mixes done by Daniel, it sounded a little weak. I don't know if I'm remembering that right.
Well, I think it's just forced if you have that really enunciated, like, to the beat vocals, and there's just one person doing it.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
So, I know that Pete's vocals were in the gang vocals. So at this point, Pete's in the band. Because
Yes.
Carter decided to be a jerk and move to another state.
Damn that Carter is focusing on
Yes,
his...
we've got some of his guitar tracks, and then Pete joined just in time to get on the gang vocals.
But he does have guitar parts in the album.
True.
He does the solo in Wanderlust and the solo in Sigurd 1. If I recall correctly.
Yeah, because he joined up and we were like, hey, these songs need those lead guitar parts that you signed up for, so get cracking.
Go for it.
Yeah, so, and I know Carter, so I recorded all the rhythm parts. And I know when Carter recorded, he's basically a third guitar, so he tried to do different things.
Well, he
filled out the sound a bit.
He also recorded on a 6-string. So he wasn't typically doing... He wasn't doing things that were different to be different. He was doing things that were different because they were necessitated by the fact that he didn't have a low B.
Yeah, well,
I think it turned into something really cool, though.
That's interesting because the way I recorded the guitars, it's coming back to me. I had the one baritone tuning like I was talking about, and then the 7-string, and then we have a standard tune 6-string. So for the baritone tuned guitar, I was forced to do certain things a certain way, and then 7-string, you have the full range, and then for Carter's. So someone remind me when we go to record the next one that we need to do it this way.
There were a few things where I was listening back after he had moved, and I was like, "Oh shit, I didn't catch that. That's not quite right." So I remember I had to punch in a few things, and I know I did.
All right, so just to back up, you played bass, acoustic guitar, mandolin, lead guitar, vocals, probably some drums, probably a cello.
I edited drums. I have at least like 1 or 2 harmonies. I think the harmony at the end of Drink to Glory is actually me.
Mike Wilson's Eisenmore.
Other than that, yeah. I got nothing.
Actually, I think this is a good place to end the first half, because now the album is tracked, which is amazing.
Now it's all on Tim.
We're not,
and we're listening to I'm listening to vocal list demos that I've mixed up to let other people hear what the violins sound like, and then Tim's got violin list demos with vocals for letting people hear what the vocals sound like.
The rest of this is on Tim, Mark, and Dan Swano.
All right, so that's gonna wrap it up.
Gobs of cash.
That's gonna wrap it up for the first half. Tune in next time for the second half. Thanks for listening to Podcast Them Down. You can find Burning Shadows, Eisenmore, and recently vacated Graves on Bandcamp, as well as Facebook, along with Fade to Black Metallica Tribute and Podcast Them Down itself. Until next time, keep it metal.